Congratulations to you all. You made it to the last session of the day. Well done. We'll try to keep things going. We'll try to keep things engaging and keep things interesting. Maybe we'll finish a little early and you guys can get out there and start networking. How does that sound? Awesome. So as Ian said, in this presentation, we're going to gain a better understanding of how different Esri field apps can be integrated with each other and then extended just a little bit to cover a full end-to-end field mobility workflow. In fact, we're going to be demonstrating its value by digitizing a typical paper-based workflow at the end. All right? We're going to aim to save time and money by increasing the overall efficiency of our workflow. We're going to avoid costly errors by reducing the amount of manual data entry. And we're going to better allocate our resources by having full situational awareness of our field works. Now, before jumping into our example, let's take a quick high-level look at a couple of important pieces of Esri tech that we're going to be using later on. Now, what you see here, these are 7 of Esri's most popular field apps. Quick show of hands, who's used or deployed at least one of these apps within their organization? Fantastic. Now, keep your hands up if you've used or deployed at least 2. Okay, now I'm going to go out on a limb here of those of you who's integrated those 2 apps together. Keep your hands up then. Wow, well done. All right, next, Esri, you guys are coming up and presenting with me, okay? So in today's example, we're going to be integrating the following 3 Esri applications together. So let's have a quick look at what each of them does. First up, we've got Navigator for ArcGIS. Pretty straightforward. You use it for turn-by-turn navigation. But where Navigator really comes into its own is if your organization uses service roads or other special access roads, essentially roads that aren't publicly listed. If you have that kind of information, you can push it right into Navigator, and Navigator will exploit it for giving your field crews turn-by-turn directions using those roads. Next up, Survey 123. I'm pretty sure everyone in here has heard or used Survey 123. Long and short of it is, it's a form-centric data collection app. But something I want you to remember about Survey 123 is when you submit information with Survey 123, it gets recorded as a feature in a feature layer in your portal. Okay? Features and feature layers. Finally, we have Workforce. Workforce is built for coordinating fieldworks, and the way I see it, it's a bit of a hybrid application. Right? It has a back-office web interface as well as a field-ready mobile app. Now, something I want you to notice about Workforce is that every task, every assignment in Workforce is also represented as a feature in a feature layer. So you're starting to pick up a little bit of a pattern by now, right? So both Survey 123 and Workforce are driven by features and feature layers. And we're going to be exploiting this fact later on when we're integrating these applications together and then extending them. Awesome. Let's have a look at our problem definition. Now, I'm going to show you a typical workflow that some local government councils and organizations that undertake field works use. Now, this isn't the case for everyone, but unfortunately, in our line of business, we do see cases like this quite often. And it's a paper-based work order-driven workflow. So you typically start with a list of jobs, right? Your dispatcher will organize that list and then create and print work orders for every task that needs to be done on that day. And then when your field workers arrive at the office in the morning, they get handed those work orders. Once a field worker receives those work orders, they then travel back out into the field, complete the tasks, fill in the details. Maybe they'll take a couple of pictures of the works that they've done and email it back to the back office. And if while they were out, they noticed something else that was wrong in the field, they'll maybe take a mental note or write down a note and wait until they get back to the office to see the dispatcher again and inform them, hey, maybe you should send someone out there to inspect this asset. I think it has some damage on it. When they're back in the office, that's when they drop off their work orders, pick up new ones, and then travel back out. Then it's up to the dispatcher to do some admin tasks, right? So the dispatcher will start to digitize all of those physical forms, put them into the GIS, and then maybe match them up to the photos if that's something that was sent in. And maybe once a week, the dispatcher is going to generate a report on the amount of field work that was done by his or her unit for management or for the rest of the organization to see, to gain some visibility. Now, while this tends to be the status quo, we can start to see some inefficiencies crop up pretty quickly. For example, physically printing work orders on paper, it's 2019, it's almost 2020. Maybe we can digitize that, right? which would also remove the whole transcribing step later on where all of that human error can happen. Let's also attach photos directly to our forms when we're out in the field if everything is digital, and that would also negate a whole lot of admin tasks later on. Let's also empower our field workers to add new tasks to maybe a digital list of jobs when they notice something that's gone wrong in the field, right? Maybe let's give them the ability to use a mobility application to spot those problems and report it back to the office. And instead of compiling reports, let's aim to have a live dashboard going. Perhaps most importantly, let's try our best to remove the need for all of this unnecessary back and forth travel between the field and the office. Getting rid of those steps would save so much on fuel, avoid so much time spent stuck in traffic, and this is all time that could be maximized for use directly out in the field for doing productive work, for making a difference in the community. So what we're talking about doing here is a digital transformation, right? So what will it take to perform this digital transformation? Well, to answer that question, we need to think about and focus on what's at the heart of our workflow. It's the work order. If we can digitize the work order, then we have a chance, maybe we have a chance of digitizing the entire workflow. So how do you digitize a work order? Well, you first identify the key fields in that work order, and then you extract those fields. Then you go out to your favorite GIS and create a feature service. Cleverly shuffle things around. And then you match the key fields from your work order to fields that you've created in your feature service. So this way, your work order is represented as a feature service. Individual work orders are now individual features in a feature service. You've just digitized your work order. So now that we have a digital work order, let's streamline our workflow a little bit. Since everything is digital, we can now send and receive our tasks directly via mobile devices. Why not? Which would also negate all of that unnecessary back and forth travel to and from the field and the office. And the field workers will complete the tasks in the field and then take notes, attach photos digitally as everything is going on. And of course, if it's all digital and our list of tasks is digital, why not let the workers create new tasks directly while they're out in the field? Now, back in the office, our dispatcher can review and approve the completed tasks as they come in, so there's no other extra admin steps involved. And of course, we're going to have a live dashboard that's going to replace our weekly reports. So let's clean up this workflow a little bit. And now we get to the solution design stage. So as Ian mentioned, I'm a solution engineer at Esri Australia, but today we're going to be designing a solution together. We're going to be using a suite of ArcGIS field apps and web apps to essentially match this new workflow. All of these are going to be configured through the portal, and they're all going to be driven off of the feature layer that contains our work orders. So what we'll do is our dispatcher is going to use the Workforce for ArcGIS application to assign tasks out to the field crew. And our field crew is going to use the mobile component of Workforce to receive those tasks and then capture information. Now, to aid in navigation, we'll integrate Navigator for ArcGIS with Workforce, and to allow the creation of new tasks directly out in the field, we'll integrate Survey123 as well. Now, this is a bit of a clever integration. We're definitely going to cover this later. But when you create a new, or when you submit a survey using this Survey123 form, instead of it going and recording your information in its own feature layer, it's going to be targeting the assignments feature layer that Workforce is driven off of. So when you submit a new survey using your Survey123 app, it's adding a new assignment to your assignments list in Workforce. You'll see it in action. It's really cool. So back in the office, our dispatcher is going to use a very simple web app built using Web App Builder for ArcGIS to review the tasks as they come in and mark them as approved. And of course, we're going to use Ops Dashboard to provide a live feed of our works to the rest of the organization. Now, to save us some time, I've already built out this workflow, so let's do an end-to-end walkthrough of our solution. Now, if you're interested in trying this, we've also set it up in the ArcLab section that's located in the main floor of the convention center over there, so you can come and get a little bit more hands-on. All right. So when you start a new workforce project, this is kind of the wizard interface that you're faced with. Right now we're at the Overview tab. You can have a quick overview of your project. You've got your name, the total number of users, total number of assignments, and the web maps that everything is driven off of. We'll jump over to the next tab, which is the assignment types. This is where you define new and different assignment types that are going to be used in that specific workforce project. It's really easy to create a new assignment type. You just give it a new name, and you hit plus type. It adds it to your assignment type list. You can see I've got maybe 9 different assignment types here, and I've used all except for 2 of them. Next, we get to the Users tab, and this is how you add new users to your workforce project. You can select your users based on their ArcGIS named user identity, if they're within your organization, or you can even uncheck that and add them from outside of your organization. But when you add a new user, you can add them into one of 2 roles. You can either add them as a dispatcher, or you can add them as a mobile worker. Now, you might have noticed I've added some people in here twice, once as a dispatcher and once as a mobile worker. You can totally do that if that's what your workflow demands. You might also notice that I've added an extra piece of information whenever I add someone to this project, and that's a mobile phone number. So right here, I've added a mobile phone number, and that's because later on in Workforce, you'll be able to contact your field workers directly through the app if you've got that extra piece of information in there. It's also good to note that if you don't want to add your users one by one, you can bulk add them using this Add Workers from File button, which allows you to download a CSV template that you can fill out and then import it into Workforce, and you get all of your users. We jump to the final tab of setting up our project, and that's the Advanced tab. It's my favorite tab. And this is where all the integrations happen. So out of the box, there are 4 different app integrations that you can make with Workforce. Navigator for ArcGIS is already built in. So as soon as you create a new Workforce project, Navigator is already integrated with it. But what we've also done is we've created this Field Inspection Creator form. It's a Survey 123 form, and we've integrated it with every single assignment type within this project. So we've told it to target that specific feature layer, the assignments feature layer, and we've also told it to send in the location of the feature that the survey is going to be launched from within the Workforce app, and pull it into the Workforce, or pull it into the Survey 123 form. We'll see that soon. Now, this next step is totally optional, but you have the choice of enabling location tracking for your field workers out in the field, and this is where you change the settings around that. So to make this demo more interesting, I've enabled location tracking on this one. And that's it. You've set up a new Workforce project. So we'll go ahead and we'll open up this project. And the first thing that you see here is the dispatcher's view. There are 2 main sections. On the right-hand side, you of course have a map. It's a regular web map, and what that means is it's super configurable. So what I've also done is I've pulled in 2 of my asset layers into this web map. I have a street light layer that's managed by the city, as well as a bike rack layer that's managed by the city. I always like to add asset layers to my Workforce project because it helps me get a much better understanding of where all of my assets are, and I can create my work orders directly attached to those assets. So that's the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, we have a list of tasks, and of course you can sort and organize this task list, and you can get a very quick overview of all of the tasks that you have over here. So I can see that this is a light inspection task. It's of high importance, or this task is unassigned. I can see this one is assigned to me, and this is my status. Here's some information that was captured in the field. I can also select the item right over here and view additional information. If there's attachments made to it, or if there's an extra description in there, I can see all of that. Something else that exists on the left-hand side here is my Workers tab. So when I select my Workers tab, I can see all of my workers quickly at a glance. I can see their status, whether they're working, not working, or on a break. I can see their workload, as in the total number of tasks that are assigned to them. And if I've added their mobile phone numbers in here, I can click that button, and it automatically launches your default phone call making app on your desktop environment. Okay, so let's start creating some assignments. There are a couple of different ways that you can create assignments in Workforce. You can, of course, hit that big plus assignments button, and what that lets you do is lets you select a location and start filling in the details. But as I mentioned earlier, I usually like to tie my assignments to some assets. So we'll use that little square button there, and we'll come and select these bike racks that are right next to each other. I can hit that Select All button and hit Create Assignments. And what we're doing is we're essentially bulk creating assignments at all of those assets. We'll pick an assignment type, bike rack inspection, and when I hit this Assign button down here, I can again see a quick overview of all of my field workers. But there's one extra piece of information that you see here that you don't see in the other view. And that's how far away the last known location of each field worker is from the set of assignments you're about to create. So the last time Josh was online, he was, I think, out in Townsville. And these assignments are in Victoria. So you can see he's about 2,000 kilometers away. I'm going to assign them all to Josh. We'll give it a priority of medium. We'll set a due date, a due time, and if you have an external asset management system or an external maybe complaints handling system, there's maybe a case system, you can input the ID of the related case in here, or better yet, set up an integration so that these tasks are automatically created and that ID field is filled in. I'm going to add a description. Please inspect this asset for damage, and I can add attachments. So I'm going to go over here, select a file, and I'm going to add a picture of a bike rack in here to all of those assignments. Once I'm happy with it, I hit that Create Assignments button, and what this does is it's going to create multiple assignments for each of those assets in my asset list, and they're all assigned to Josh. Have fun. What else I'm going to do is I'm going to create one more assignment, assign it to myself. I'm going to select a street lamp over here. I can, again, see all the details about that lamp. I'll hit that Create Assignments button. It's a light inspection. It's at that asset, and I'm going to assign it to myself this time. I'll give it a priority of high, due date, due time, description. And this time around, instead of attaching an image, I'm going to attach a PDF. Because why not? Maybe this PDF includes instructions on how to perform this inspection. Now that I'm happy with that, I'll hit that Create Assignments button. I'm just going to shift things around over here and go back to my assignments list. So what we're going to do now is we're going to put on our field worker hat. So I've got my mobile device over here, and I'm mirroring it to my screen so you can see everything that I'm doing. Now, as I go through this, I'm going to be changing my status and my assignment status multiple times, and I want you to notice how within a few moments of a change taking place on a mobile device, you'll see that same change being reflected in the back office, both on the map and both on the map as well as the assignments list. So in this way, the dispatcher can keep up with the progress of the work that's being done out in the field. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to launch that workforce application. And the only thing I've done here is, oh, look at that, one assignment added. I'll view it later. And the only thing I've done here is I've authenticated with this app, this completely off-the-shelf app, using my ArcGIS identity. And I've selected the field inspections project that I'm a part of. After that, I can see the list of my tasks here. And of course, this is Esri. Everything is also represented as a map. So I can have a look at my own location, as well as the location of other people out in the field. If I select that, there we go. That's Riley and her contact information, as well as, of course, my tasks. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, first of all, set my status to working, and then select that light inspection task that was created. I can have a quick look at this, and I'm going to hit Start on this task. So now, very quickly, my dispatcher is going to know I've started working on this assignment. And we're now going to use the first of the two integrations that we made, the Navigator integration, because we want to make our way over to this task. So I'm going to hit this little square button and say Navigate to Assignment. And what this does is it launches Navigator for ArcGIS, or tries to launch Navigator for ArcGIS. Let's give it one more shot. And it will navigate from my current known location, if we have a good enough signal in here, to the assignments location. There we go. And it says, oh, it's a cool 18-hour drive from here all the way down to Victoria. So as I hit go,
starting navigation. Go northwest on Gray Street toward Convention Center car park access.
All right, okay, that's enough. It'll start to provide turn-by-turn navigation. So let's assume that we've reached our assignment. Fantastic. We've started work on it, and I'm going to go ahead and view any attachments that are made to this. So I can see, oh, there's a PDF attachment made. I'll hit that button, download it to my device, and have a look. Yep, okay, that looks good. I'm done with that. And maybe I'm performing my inspection and I want to make some notes. So this is a light inspection. I'm going to hit that little notes button. And instead of typing it out, I'm kind of lazy, I'm going to hit that little button there. Light inspection complete, no visible signs of damage detected. Or I like inspections, that also works as well. Once we're happy with that, we'll hit save. And to prove that the light inspection was complete, we're going to add a picture. So I'm going to hit that attachments view button again, and this time I'm going to use the button on the bottom left-hand side that says take a photo. I'm going to load up a nice photo of my light over here. Great, and when I'm happy with that, I'll hit use photo, and then I'll hit that save button on the top right-hand side. Now, before we finish our work on this assignment, maybe I've looked over to the right and I've seen the nearby bench, and that bench looks like it's in pretty bad shape. So I want to alert my dispatcher, hey, maybe send someone down here to inspect this. So now we're going to use the second integration that we made, that survey 123 integration. I'm going to hit that little square button again and say survey at assignment. Now, if you guys have used survey 123 and you know that there's you have a location field, you know that it will automatically zoom to your current device's known location. But since I've integrated these two guys with each other, it's actually zooming into my assignment's location. So if I zoom in here, you can see it's actually in Victoria. So I can see that maybe the bench is right over here in Chaplin Reserve. I'll select that location. I'll pick an assignment type. That's a park bench inspection. And I'll give it a description that says, please inspect this nearby asset. Excellent. And of course, at survey 123, we can attach a photo as well. So I'm going to attach a photo of this bench that's not looking so good. Alrighty. Once we're happy with the way this looks, I'll hit send now, since I have an internet connection. And this is going to add a new feature to the assignments feature layer, and pretty quickly you're going to see a new task pop up automagically in our tasks list in the back office. All right, I'm going to hop, oh, you see that? I'm going to hop back over to Workforce. I'm going to hit that big finish button at the bottom of the task there, and I'm shown the rest of the tasks that I have due for today. But you know what? I think that's enough, so I'm going to go on break again. Fantastic. So in the back office, of course, our dispatcher was keeping up with all of this progress. We can quickly see that, yep, there was a note taken in there. I can open up the details on this task and see, yep, there was an attachment made. So we can see, yes, that lamp does look like it's in pretty good condition. And our dispatcher will also see that there was a new task created there. Now, you see that it doesn't have quite as much information as the other ones, and that's by design. I wanted to create a very simple, quick survey 123 form that only fills in some of the information. But the benefit now is that our dispatcher can now take this, have a look at all the details, view the image, and maybe they've pulled in a park bench asset layer in here, and they'll hit that little edit button and change the location to match where the asset actually is, add extra details, and if they see fit, assign it out to someone else in the field. Now, our workflow involved an extra step where after a task is completed, we want our dispatcher or our supervisor to view the list of completed tasks, see all the details, and then approve them. So for that, we put together a very simple web app builder application. And what this application does is it's looking at a filtered view of our assignments feature layer. So I'm only bringing in the assignments that are marked as complete or approved. I can select the assignment that we just did, which is that light inspection, and I can very quickly see all the details, including the attachments. Everything looks good, so I'm going to flick that guy over from completed to reviewed and hit save. Now, maybe this change in status is what triggers a synchronization between, again, a third-party asset management system or your complaints management system. Now, of course, while all of this was going on, the rest of the organization and management has been keeping up with our progress with this operations dashboard. So what I've done for this one is I've pulled in my assignments feature layer, but I've also pulled in my workers feature layer, which keeps track of my worker status as well as their last known location. So I can quite easily and quite quickly filter down the assignments that I see by their status or by the type of assignment that's there. And if we zoom out to a national level here, I'll also be able to see my field workers and how dispersed they are, in this case across the country. And I can again filter that down by their status, and see details about them pretty quickly. All right, let's jump back into our presentation. So again, if you enjoyed that demo, that's also set up out in the Tech Hub, and you can have a look at that. So by digitizing our workflow using Esri's configurable apps, we were able to save time and money by increasing the overall efficiency of our workflow. We were able to avoid costly errors by reducing the amount of manual data entry, and we were able to allocate our resources by having full situational awareness of our fieldworks. And these benefits are by no means limited to city councils or field service companies either. In fact, the power and water corporations up in the Northern Territories transitioned from a paper-based workflow to a GIS-based mobility solution, and they were able to achieve a 70% increase in their rate of daily repairs, all while saving hundreds of thousands of dollars in operations costs. I'd like to thank the GIS team at Brimbank City Council for providing us with that sample paper workflow that we saw in our example. And if you'd like to get started with digitizing your own field workflows, I suggest checking out the following resources, as well as taking our Esri Australia training course that's scheduled for the April of 2020. Thank you all very much. I'm going to hand it off to Ian.
Thank you, Hutan.